Strength is not built overnight, and is not built by muscle alone. True strength begins in the mind long before it shows in your physique. The Iron Paradise is more than a gym. It is a battleground where your thoughts are sharpened, your doubts are shattered, and your limits are tested every single day. Before you lift a weight, before you push through a rep, your mindset determines whether you rise or fall. Building the mind before the muscle means understanding that discipline, focus, and resilience are the real foundations of growth. Without mental strength, physical strength collapses. Without mental clarity, the body hesitates. The mind leads and the body follows. Every decision you make, from waking up early to pushing yourself through exhaustion, begins in your head. Your thoughts shape your actions, and your actions shape your results. If your mind is weak, your excuses will be strong. If your mind is unfocused, your progress will be slow. That's why the Iron Paradise demands mental fortitude, the will to start when you don't feel like it, the courage to push past fatigue, and the determination to return day after day, even when results come slowly. You must strengthen your mindset with the same intensity you use to train your body. The mind is where battles are won. Every time you feel the weight getting heavy, every time your muscles tremble, your brain decides whether you quit or keep going. A strong mindset learns to override the impulse to stop and instead pushes forward into discomfort. That discomfort is where growth lives. Champions don't run from struggle, they run toward it. They understand that the moment your mind wants to quit is the exact moment your body can learn to rise. Training your mind means embracing that moment, not resisting it. You build mental strength by challenging yourself consistently. Every rep you complete after your body says no strengthens your character. Every early morning you defeat the snooze button sharpens your discipline. Every time you choose progress over excuses, your mind becomes more resilient. Mental strength is created in the quiet decisions, the invisible choices no one sees, the sacrifices that no one applauds, but those hidden battles are what give you the power to face the visible ones. The Iron Paradise teaches you that strength is a lifestyle. It doesn't end when you leave the gym. When you train your mind to stay focused, driven, and disciplined inside the gym, that same mindset follows you into every other part of your life. You begin to work harder, think sharper, and carry yourself with the confidence of someone who knows they don't break easily. A strong mind creates a strong life. Before muscles grow, the mind must grow first. You must believe you can improve. You must visualize your goals and commit to them relentlessly. When you walk into the Iron Paradise with a strong mindset, every weight becomes a tool for transformation. Every rep becomes a declaration of who you are becoming. Every drop of sweat becomes proof that you are stronger today than yesterday. Building the mind before the muscle means understanding that your greatest power is not your strength, but your will. When your mind refuses to quit, your body adapts. When your mind is clear, your path becomes unstoppable. In the Iron Paradise, you're not just lifting weights. You're lifting your standards, your possibilities, and your future. This is where champions are built, not from the outside in, but from the inside out. The journey of self-discipline is built in silence, in the unseen moments when nobody is cheering, nobody is watching, and nobody is validating your effort. This is where real strength is forged. Most people want the reward, but they don't want the process. They want the results, but they avoid the routine. But the Iron Paradise teaches you something different. Discipline is not a switch you flip. It's a lifestyle you commit to. It becomes the invisible force guiding your choices, shaping your habits, and sharpening your mindset. When you walk into the gym, you quickly realize that the weight doesn't care about your excuses. It doesn't care if you're tired, stressed, or unmotivated. It only responds to discipline, to the repeated decision to show up even when you don't feel like it. That's why the strongest people aren't always the biggest. They're the ones who have mastered the art of consistency. Discipline is an agreement you make with yourself, a promise that you'll do what you said you would do long after the excitement has disappeared. Motivation comes and goes, but discipline carries you during days when motivation is nowhere to be found. It's waking up before the world does, pushing yourself during your workout when every part of you wants to stop, choosing the harder path because you know it leads to growth. It's in every small, seemingly insignificant decision. What time you wake up, what food you choose, what thoughts you allow into your mind. Discipline shows up in the details, and when you master those, the bigger victories follow. In the Iron Paradise, discipline becomes routine. Every rep is a reminder that growth doesn't come instantly. It's earned through repetition, through practice, through persistence. The grind becomes familiar, even comforting, because you understand that every drop of sweat is a step toward becoming the person you're trying to become. You stop waiting for a perfect moment because you know it doesn't exist. You create the moment by taking action. That discipline starts, bleeding into the rest of your life too. Suddenly you're more focused, more structured, more intentional. You realize that discipline gives you freedom. Freedom from regret, from inconsistency, from falling short of your potential. But discipline is not something you build once, it's something you build every single day. You must renew your commitment every morning. Some days you'll feel unstoppable, other days you'll feel like quitting. But those hard days are the ones that matter the most. They're the ones that redefine you. They're the ones that separate the average from the exceptional. Anyone can be disciplined when life is easy, but true discipline appears when everything feels heavy, physically, mentally, and emotionally. And in those moments, you remember why you started. You remind yourself of the goals you set, the future you're fighting for, the promises you made to your own reflection. Discipline becomes the bridge between who you are and who you're becoming. It becomes the foundation of your greatness. The iron paradise doesn't just strengthen your body, it strengthens your character. With discipline as your anchor, you begin to realize that nothing is out of reach. Because you're no longer relying on fleeting bursts of motivation. You're building yourself on something far stronger, unwavering, unbreakable discipline. Here comes a moment in every journey when the weight of your doubts feels heavier than the weight on the bar. You begin questioning whether you're capable enough, strong enough, or worthy enough to keep going. But in the iron paradise, you learn that confidence isn't something you magically wake up with. It's something you build, one rep at a time, through effort, resilience, and repetition. Self-belief is not given, it's earned. Every time you attempt a lift you've never tried, every time you finish a workout you you had the energy for. Every time you choose discipline over comfort, you're proving to yourself that you're capable of more than you imagined. Confidence grows when you push beyond your own expectations and surprise yourself with your own strength. The biggest battles you fight aren't against other people, they're against your own mind. Your mind will try to convince you to stop, to settle, to stay where it's safe. It will whisper that you've done enough, that you don't have to push further, that failure is too embarrassing to risk. But that voice doesn't speak the truth, it speaks your fears. The iron paradise teaches you to silence that voice. You learn to replace doubt with determination, hesitation with action, and fear with focus. When you confront your mental barriers and push through them, you begin to trust yourself. You begin to understand that you are not fragile. You are far more powerful than you give yourself credit for. Believing in yourself doesn't mean you feel confident every moment. It means that even when you're uncertain, you choose to move forward anyway. You choose to bet on yourself. You choose to step into discomfort because you know that comfort zones don't create champions. It's in the struggle, the grind, the moments when your muscles shake and your mind screams stop, that confidence is built. You start to see failure differently too. Instead of seeing it as something to avoid, you start to see it as a tool, a sign that you're pushing yourself beyond your limits. Failure becomes feedback. It becomes part of the process. You stop fearing mistakes and start embracing the lessons they bring. Little by little, that belief becomes unshakable. It becomes a fire inside you that doesn't go out when things get hard. You begin to carry that confidence outside the gym. You walk differently. You speak differently. You think differently. You trust yourself to handle challenges, setbacks, and obstacles because you've trained your mind through physical struggle. When you conquer difficult reps, you start to realize you can conquer difficult days. When you push past physical limits, you understand you can push past emotional and mental limits too. The belief you build in the gym becomes the belief you carry into life. This self-belief becomes your inner armor. It protects you from negativity, from insecurity, from the opinions of those who doubt you. When you truly believe in yourself, no insult, no failure, and no setback can break you. You know who you are. You know what you're capable of. And even on the days when you're not your strongest, the confidence you've built keeps you moving forward. That is the power of self-belief. It transforms not just your body, but your entire identity. The iron paradise becomes the place where your confidence is forged, your inner strength is awakened, and your belief in yourself becomes unshakable. There will always be days when motivation disappears, days when you wake up tired, mentally drained, unexcited, or completely uninterested in pushing yourself. Those are the days that separate the average from the exceptional. The people who rely on motivation will stop, postpone, or negotiate with their goals, but the ones who rely on discipline show up regardless of how they feel. Discipline is what carries you through when motivation fades. It's the quiet force that whispers, "Get it done." even when your body is heavy and your mind tries to resist. In the Iron Paradise, you learn that the real work doesn't start when you're excited. It starts when you're exhausted, but still choose to move. Discipline is not about perfection. It's about consistency. It's about honoring the promises you make to yourself. When you commit to a workout and follow through, even on your worst days, you send a powerful message to your mind: my goals matter more than my moods. That message, repeated day after day, begins to reshape who you are. You stop seeing yourself as someone who tries, and you become someone who follows through. You become someone who doesn't break under pressure. You become someone who shows up because it's who you are, not because you happen to feel motivated. The truth is, discipline builds a stronger version of you, physically, mentally, and emotionally. Each time you choose discipline, you reinforce mental toughness. You prove to yourself that you have control over your actions, not your emotions. The workout becomes a battlefield where you train your mind just as much as your body. You learn to push past excuses, silence the voice of comfort, and act with purpose. And with every rep, every drop of sweat, every moment you push through fatigue, you build a deeper trust in yourself. That trust becomes the foundation of confidence, resilience, and long-term success. Discipline also gives you structure. When your life has routine, purpose, and clear expectations, everything becomes easier to manage. Stress becomes lighter because you're not fighting against chaos. You're working with a system you created. Your mind becomes sharper because you're constantly challenging it. Your body becomes stronger because it adapts to the demands you consistently place on it. Slowly, your discipline turns into momentum, and momentum is one of the most powerful CES you'll ever experience. It pulls you forward even when your energy is low. It keeps your progress alive even when life gets difficult. Most people give up because they wait for motivation to return. But motivation is unreliable. It comes and goes. It fades when life gets stressful, when things go wrong, when challenges appear. Discipline, on the other hand, doesn't care about your feelings. It demands action. And when you answer that demand, you transform. Not just physically, you evolve in every way. You develop grit. You strengthen your character. You learn to control your impulses and prioritize what truly matters. This creates a version of you that's unstoppable. Through discipline, you become the master of your habits, your mindset, your body, and your future. You stop living reactively and start living intentionally. And once discipline becomes your lifestyle, your results are no longer temporary. They become permanent. You begin to realize that success is not about doing extraordinary things once. It's about doing the ordinary things repeatedly with unwavering commitment. Discipline becomes your edge, your power, your greatest weapon. It turns the Iron Paradise into more than a gym. It becomes the training ground where champions are built and excuses are destroyed. Your environment plays a huge role in shaping who you become. And the Iron Paradise is the perfect example of how the right environment can forge the strongest version of you. When you step into a space designed for progress, everything shifts. Your mindset sharpens, your purpose becomes clearer, and your standards rise. This is why transforming your environment is powerful. It's not just about having equipment or a gym. It's about creating a place where your goals are non-negotiable, where every inch of the space reflects your commitment. When you look around and see nothing but tools for growth, your mind automatically switches into work mode. It becomes a sanctuary of discipline, a temple built for the version of you that refuses to settle. Domination of your environment doesn't mean controlling everything around you. It means controlling how you show up within it. Whether your space is big or small, quiet or loud, polished or rough, it becomes powerful when you approach it with intention. When you walk into the Iron Paradise, you don't walk in casually. You walk in with purpose, with intensity, with a mindset ready to attack every rep. You decide that the moment you enter that space, distractions fade and excuses die. That mental switch is what transforms an ordinary room into a battlefield for greatness. You train yourself to associate that environment with effort, focus, and growth. Over time, the simple act of stepping into it triggers a disciplined mindset automatically. Creating this kind of environment also means eliminating the things that slow you down or derail your progress. Your surroundings influence your habits more than you realize. If your space is filled with clutter, noise, or negativity, you're more likely to become inconsistent. But when your environment is designed to support your goals, everything flows more easily. You become more consistent, more focused, and more driven. This is why it's important to protect your space, physically and mentally. The Iron Paradise is powerful not just because of the equipment, but because it's a place where your intentions are respected. It's a space where the only thing that matters is putting in the work. When you dominate your environment, you stop waiting for the right time or the perfect conditions. You create the conditions yourself. You turn your space into a reminder of your purpose. You fill it with energy that pushes you forward even on days when you feel weak or unmotivated. It becomes impossible to stand in that environment and not feel compelled to level up. Every wall, every weight, every bench carries the energy of your goals. It becomes a place where you leave your doubts at the door and pick up your strength instead. But beyond the physical setup, dominating your environment also means controlling the energy and people you allow around you. Protecting your mental space matters just as much as your physical space. Surround yourself with people who push you, inspire you, and challenge you to be better, not those who drain your energy or plant seeds of doubt. Your environment includes your habits, your routines, and your influences. When all of these align with your purpose, your growth becomes unstoppable. And once you establish this environment of progress, it starts shaping your identity. You begin to walk with more confidence, think with more clarity, and act with more intention. You become someone who thrives in discipline, who seeks progress naturally, and who refuses to be influenced by negativity. The Iron Paradise becomes more than a training ground, it becomes the center of your transformation. When you dominate your environment, you gain control over your life. You create the conditions for greatness, and every day you step into that space, you unlock a stronger, more resilient, more unstoppable version of yourself. Consistency is one of the most underestimated forces in the world. People admire intensity, the big workouts, the dramatic transformations, the moments of high motivation, but intensity alone doesn't create greatness. What truly builds unstoppable power is consistency. It's the daily grind, the small decisions, the unexciting moments of discipline that accumulate into massive results. When you show up again and again, even when you're tired, even when you're stressed, even when you don't feel your best, you train your mind and body to understand that progress is not optional. It becomes part of who you are. Every rep, every step, every choice compounds quietly until it turns you into someone unrecognizable, someone stronger, sharper, and more powerful than you ever imagined. Consistency is a promise you make to yourself. It means you're committed, not only on the days you feel inspired, but also on the days when everything feels heavy. That's the difference between people who dream and people who achieve. Dreamers wait for perfect moments. Achievers create progress in imperfect moments. Consistency forces you to build habits, and habits shape your identity. When you've been showing up for weeks, months, or years, quitting no longer feels like an option. It feels like a betrayal of everything you've built. And that internal pressure pushes you forward, even on the darkest days. You stop relying on motivation because your momentum becomes strong enough to carry you. You begin to understand that missing a day doesn't just set you back physically. It disrupts the mental rhythm that took so long to build. In the Iron Paradise, consistency becomes your silent power. It's not glamorous, it's not flashy, but it works. Every time you repeat a movement, your muscles adapt. Every time you stick to your plan, your discipline deepens. Every time you choose the hard path over the easy one, your character solidifies. Consistency gives you mastery, and mastery is something no one can take away from you. It's the secret that turns effort into excellence. When you repeat something enough times, you stop thinking about it, it becomes automatic. That's when you become dangerous. That's when you become unstoppable. Because your progress no longer depends on how you feel. It depends on the person you've trained yourself to be. And the truth is, consistency is not about perfection. You will have bad days. You will feel tired. You will occasionally fall short. But consistency means you get back up. It means you keep moving. It means you don't let one setback turn into a downward spiral. You correct, you adjust, you continue. This resilience becomes part of your identity. You start trusting yourself more because you've proven over and over that you don't quit. And that trust becomes fuel. It becomes the foundation of long-term success. As you stay consistent, your standards rise. You begin expecting more from yourself. You stop calling it discipline. It simply becomes your way of life. People around you may wonder how you do it, how you stay committed, how you keep pushing forward. But the truth is simple. Consistency has transformed you from the inside out. It has built a mindset that refuses to settle, a spirit that refuses to weaken, a heart that refuses to stop. In the end, consistency is what turns ordinary people into legends. It's what builds the body, shapes the mind, and strengthens the soul. It's what takes you from where you are to where you were always meant to be. And once you embrace it fully, you become a force that nothing and no one can break.